Oh, yeah, sorry guys, I forgot to actually hit record. It was a real shame.
Welcome to the Youth Podcast. I'm Mac Red Devil. I'm joined by my co-host.
Halo. But you pointed in the wrong direction.
The wrong person.
That's where he is on my screen. No, my screen is here.
You gotta say people's names and then we can just go, hello.
Then we could just wait. This would truly be the better, more efficient way.
All right. I'm joined by my co-host Halo, Gojo, and Dark Fuzzy. Keep it together.
Keep it together.
I like how you still pointed in the wrong direction.
No, that's where you are on my screen. It goes you, then Gojo dead center, and then Dark over here.
You're not full screen again.
Yes, I am.
Full screen.
No, I am full screen.
The camera inverts it.
You can't be.
So, like, if I want to point it,
you said this last time,
it's
and then
so
you went
hard.
full screen, and then it actually worked.
No, I went. No, I'm seriously.
Okay,
I'm full screen.
Moving on.
Moving on. Also, God, double lean back. Remember to lean back.
We've actually just been here shooting the shit for like a full hour before we even started recording.
Oh, I got it all.
Technically, we're half an hour late for when we're meant to start recording.
Let's go over what we're going to talk about today. We have some serious topics. We got some meme topics, some funny ones. There's been lots of drama in the Twitch circle. Like, we've seen a lot of stuff happen. We'll get into that. A little bit of a serious topic. Then we've got some funny stories to cover. We have some fun conversations that we had a bit earlier that we could probably resume. We got a lot planned for the episode today.
We do.
Yeah, it's going to get interesting. Hopefully.
So let's just get started with some of the Twitch drama, because there's just been so much of it in the last week. Like, first off, a week ago, I think it was Friday last week, Dr. Disrespect just got permabanned from Twitch, and nobody knows why. And
he got yoinked.
Like, they straight up, they banned him. They refunded all his subs. They sponsors dropped him, and we haven't heard what actually happened, which is just crazy, because we've seen the value of some the top streamers contracts that they get from things like Mixer or Facebook or YouTube, and we're talking easily $20-30 million for somebody of that size, that platforms are paying people to stream on their site. There's no way you just ban like that unless it's some real serious shit.
Viral marketing strategy.
I'm pretty sure he just had a new 3-month contract that he signed with them as well.
I'm not
then
sure.
He just gets Thanos snapped, disappears.
He's just straight gone.
I mean, they kind of almost did something similar to that when Ninja moved to Mixer. They accidentally banned his channel, and everybody started looking at it again, and then they unbanned it.
I think that was just Twitch being a bit stupid and vindictive. I don't think that's sort of the same sort of thing.
Yeah, they were pretty.
But it's Mixer's shut down. You'd hear an announcement if it was a move or something.
You'd think.
It's when other streamers sorry to interrupt, but when other streamers have moved, after the Ninja thing, I think that was Twitch realized that they got a lot of backlash for that, and they realized people are moving. That kind of what kickstarted the whole streaming wars. They don't ban the channel or remove subs when people move anymore. We've seen it happen. Gotta.
Yeah, but there's a lot of theories. Well, the main one that I've heard is that Instagram wants to start a streaming platform as well called Brime, I think it is.
No, that's very unlikely. Because the Brime, that's a genius example of some viral marketing tactics. So basically, some kids made a streaming site, I think 18, 19, it's a cool community thing. But it's you can't it takes a lot of work to make an actual one. What they did is they took their account and they followed Ninja, Shroud, and Doc. And then people wondered if it was a thing. It's not, but it was it was a really brilliant move, because they went from 1,000 followers, I think, to over 100,000, and they've got some
big names
in the.
So it's actually proved that it's not a thing.
I'd wager my left nut that it's not. It's
only the left one. That's the right one more important.
I can't wait until this shit gets announced. Who's cutting his nut off then?
No, but
you got to do it yourself,
But we just saw Mixer close down, right? If Microsoft, with all the billions of dollars that they're willing to pay in that, we just saw a big streaming service flop like that. You think
you say that, but Microsoft has a track record of being very late with these things. Like they had a chance early on to get into streaming. They let Amazon take over Twitch, so they're behind Amazon already. What else is there? Facebook as well. I know Facebook Gaming is pretty shit and stuff, but they're kind of established. Microsoft always comes late. They do it with Skype as well. They always come late to this stuff and then put money into it, and then it just never really takes off and doesn't become a thing.
Same thing with Zune.
And they can't support it anymore.
The same thing with Zune. Zune, the whole the whole idea behind Zune was actually really awesome, and they had like a lot of potential with it, but they rushed it out to get it out before Christmas, and the entire thing just flopped because they were already out after Apple put their stuff out, and then they rushed it, so it wasn't as good as people wanted it to be, and it was only around for like a year.
As someone who owned a Zune, like the thing actually was not bad.
But
even with consoles, they were pretty late with the first.
But
Xbox.
I think probably the biggest problem with Mixer wasn't that it was late, I think the biggest problem is it just didn't have a user base to pull people from.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Like you know, it's just a straight startup website. Like where do you draw people into that website from? Do you use advertising? Like if you're YouTube streaming,
To be fair, they did advertise Mixer, but like they didn't do like a big ad campaign, which is what they should have done. They didn't really like push it. They did like it was weird because this would have been back when I was still playing on the Xbone, and like they were advertised like super hard on that, but like nowhere else. Like there would like back during like I guess the quote unquote height of Mixer, there was not a day I could not turn on my Xbox and I'd be like stream on Mixer.
Yeah, that really was an Xbox thing too.
But like I mean, you had a degree with pulling people from Xbox, but it's like Facebook can pull people from Facebook. There's a lot of people there. You know, YouTube can pull people from YouTube. There's a lot of people there, and I think Twitch just has such a head start.
Twitch has been established for like 5-10 years already.
It doesn't need to pull people from a place because it is a place where people already just are and go, and there's a community and memes, and you know people know each other. And if you're trying to start something from scratch, you got to have something to pull from.
Which is why they decided to try and yoink Ninja, who was the biggest streamer at the time, and they thought throwing money at it would draw people across, but they only took him and Shroud, and
those guys made bank.
They did.
Yeah, no, they
like
they
£10 million
like
contracts or some shit, like crazy. But like, you can't take away from an already established thing by just throwing money at it.
But this is why I think the whole idea of like Doc starting a streaming service is, I just think that there's no way. Just because especially just after Mixer shut down, and like we saw, I don't think like the Mixer news kind of hit a lot of people blindsided. Like they didn't see it coming, and there's no way that happens so quick. And they're like, "Oh, we're just going to start a streaming service." Like those sort of plans take time, right? It doesn't just happen. I think. So one of the other going theory is like there's some serious allegations or something that came out, but I feel like that doesn't.
No, I don't think so.
Hey, perma-ban. Well, I guess it depends on how serious the accusations are, but like, depending on what it is, that might not be perma-ban.
I don't see why something wouldn't have happened to Doc legally before they even found out about it. To actually, like, if it's that big, either people would know about it or he would have been arrested.
I mean, things do take time to process and trial and go through, and you know, there's definitely a spectrum. Just because something isn't like legally prosecuting or there isn't enough, you know, to bring somebody to trial doesn't mean like, you know, that it's not serious stuff that needs to be gotten out ahead of. I think just the fact that it happened so immediately and so like finally, like we know what these streamers are worth. Like you know what Doc was worth to Twitch. You're talking $1 million, $20, $30, $40 million. You know, that's pretty easy to say. Like you don't just throw that away as Twitch without a serious reason why. Like if you're, you know, it's just kind of interesting. Like I've never really watched Doc. Like I saw clips of him and you know LSF and you know
he's
Reddit
not really like my cup of tea. Like I would never watch him, but
the mystery has got so many people.
It's quite interesting.
Yeah, the mystery's got so many people so invested. Like who knows? This whole episode will come out on Sunday, hopefully, as long as we don't have some catastrophic problems again, and we might know by then. So this might be old news.
Maybe I'd be surprised if it came out in a week. I think it's more, 2-3 weeks.
Craziest thing is it's been a week and nothing is leaked. Like how does that even happen? You're talking about like drafts in sports get leaked before they're even announced. Like you have, how does nothing come out for a solid week? Like there's been some people who claim they know. I think Slasher notably was a pretty well respected, as far as like the stuff he tends to leak used at least as
He
far
tends
as
to
I
be
see,
right.
has always been right. Like he said he knows but can't say for legal reasons. Like
exactly, which is more because people are saying they know but aren't saying anything. It makes you think it's got to be something like really serious, right?
whatever it is, it has to be. Like it could be some weird. If it's some weird contract violation. Also, the doc made a tweet. He said, Twitch has not informed me the specific reason I was banned. He didn't say he doesn't know why he was banned. Like there was a very deliberate wording on there. I think it's a bit telling. He said, no,
Yeah.
Twitch has not informed me the reason that I was banned. And Twitch, as far as I understand, doesn't tell people why they were banned if it's a permaban. So
it has to be some kind of a contract thing. Some kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? A like conflict of interest type of thing where Doc's working with somebody else and Twitch doesn't like it.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can
has
think
to be
of.
some kind of violation like that.
I think it's not impossible, but I personally, if I was going to place a bet, if I was going to place a bet, I'd say it was he probably did some awful thing. And that might not be fair to say. Like I'm not, I don't want to throw shade at the dude, or you should hold reserve judgment until stuff comes out. But as far as like what I would guess to be more likely, I think like contract stuff, it feels like way too extreme for me for that. Like for nothing to leak.
I feel like if it was anything else, something would have leaked.
And
Twitch is the only people that know about it.
I feel like if you're Doc in the situation, like if that was the case, you'd come out straight and say it's not an allegation or anything. Like you just clarify that for people. Like why wouldn't you? But the fact that we haven't seen a statement along those lines, I don't know. I'm just like refreshing LSF every day or two let's just be real, a few times a day at least to try to, and like I said, it's just the mystery of it, right? It's all fascinating. Everybody loves
I see what you mean about like the wording thing. Like I just brought up Twitter just to have a look and like.
You want to read out the tweet?
Oh, it was word for word. He said, Champions Club, Twitch has not notified me on the specific reason behind their decision. Firm handshakes to all for the support during this difficult time. Dr. Disrespect. But like, yeah, I see what you mean. I see what you mean about the wording. Like
that's very precise. To me, that sounds like I'm wanting to placate the fan base, but without wanting to say, yeah, I'm, because they'll be like, oh, I didn't say Twitch. I didn't say I didn't know why I was banned. I said Twitch didn't tell me. It just that tweet just strikes me as a little bit shady.
To be fair, like any other person would say, I don't know why Twitch banned me.
Yeah.
Except you have to. There's no way he doesn't know why he was banned. Like if it's something to the seriousness of Twitch is just Thanos snapping away like 20-30 million effective dollars of value. There's no way you don't know, or at least have a pretty damn good idea what's going on there. Oh, hello.
No.
Poor timing. We should be in the podcast channel.
We should be in the podcast channel.
I didn't remake one afterwards.
Or anything but the default channel that people auto join to.
Yeah, none of us auto joined to this. Okay.
Let's move real quick and.
Oh God, where did they move to? Hello.
Why did you move me?
We didn't move you.
Somebody moved, and so
I was just about to get him to say hello to the podcast.
Well.
For people that are listening, by the way, that is Shock. That is Dark's brother.
Well, I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
Happen to pop in.
Yeah,
he's the adult of the group.
Yeah. We all sit in the 3 server, chill, and talk. But, anyways, that brings us on to some more Twitch drama and stuff that's happening. There have been lots of allegations and stories coming out about people being like sexual assault, like manipulation. Like there's been some serious shit that's come out in the last week. Like it's been a whole
not even on Twitch. Like it's been on Twitter as well. Like there have been loads of men and women that have like the tweet longer bot thing. They've all been putting their stories and stuff in there. Like there's so many people that have been sort of coming out with their stories and stuff. It's quite crazy.
It's just been crazy to see how many things have come out. I think there's a lot of really clear-cut cases of people like it's good that people came forward because like it helps other people come forward as well. You have like some people who are just like do terrible things that you just can't even really talk about without, feeling it's and it's good that that's happened.
Yeah, because like
people
if
are feeling more comfortable like
like
sharing and
these fairly big people, like people look up to them, so if they can come out and say their story, then an everyday person's going to be like, oh, if they can do it and be okay, like surely I can be able to say mine as well,
Yeah.
So it should have that effect of helping everybody that this shit has happened to, that they can tell their side of their story and get some closure, at least just from getting it out there and getting it off their chest, rather than having to deal with it and be silent over awful shit that's happened to them that nobody should go through by themselves.
Have you guys watched any of the videos or streams or whatever of people who have talked about like their experiences and the stuff that's happened to them? Like actually watched people talk about what happened to them specific. Like I've watched a good handful of them, and it's hard. It's hard to sit, and it just it breaks your heart to see like some of the horrible things people have to have endured. And I know this is a bit of a dark topic.
Yeah, I've been kind of
out of
the
whole
like.
I've been out. The only thing I know about in the gaming sphere in terms of like drama stuff was, like I said, Cryotic and Angry Joe. Those are the two that I know. And the person who accused Angry Joe of like sexual harassment has since redacted their like entire statement. So,
and it's stuff like that.
And then as for the Cryotic situation, that shit's fucking wild. Like,
I don't know what's going on with that.
So about a month ago, I want to say,
I don't know the specifics of that one.
Put out a video, like a Let's Talk video, like just a black background, and it's just him talking, trying to like, I guess, get ahead of the situation. It later came out that he at the time, so this would have been like back during what people would consider like the golden age of like YouTube gaming. So this was back before like Pews. This was back when probably Pews had just broke 1 million. That
like 2015, something like that.
So he had essentially admitted that at the time of him being 22, having at bare minimum like sexting a 16-year-old. Yeah,
that's no bueno.
And you assume it's just the one, but because Cry has his little group of friends that he hang out with, like one's called Snake, and I can't remember the name of the other one. They have come out and been like, yeah, no, this is where it gets really fucked up with them, because obviously they were his friends and they were employed, like he was employing them, so they couldn't like speak up on this shit because it's your boss, he's signing the paycheck. So
yeah,
it's all kinds of shit that's come out. Apparently he was like, at the time he was like cheating on his girlfriend, like apparently had multiple relations with various people of various ages, everything, and it's like, it is wild. And we don't know how, like in case of the pedophilia stuff, we don't know how deep it went. It's just, we know bare minimum he had like several like conversations with underage girls. It is fucked.
People are fucked, man.
Yeah,
like if anyone gets famous, so to speak, in any way, shape, or form online, the abuse of power is, especially for stuff like that, like speaking to female fans, like no matter what age, it's just ridiculous. Like it seems like any of them like use their fame and like their clout as the the current word for it and shit. Like it's just wrong.
That's the same thing that
so many levels.
That's the same thing that Doc was talking about, the last big drama that happened with Doc. That like, he could walk into a convention and, immediately there's just a crowd of people around him. Hey.
But yeah, that's going on with Cryotic. That shit. And and that's what kind of like the Dr. Disrespect thing, like bits are coming out like every single day, and it's like the plot quite literally thickens and it gets crazier and crazier.
It's
yeah,
it's really sad to hear a lot of these stories. I think I don't want to take away from, I feel like some people try to look at life like a suffering Olympics, where they say this person had some terrible things happen to them. It's not a competition, right? So I just want to make sure that I'm not trying to take away from anything when I talk Have you seen like Angry Joe? There's another guy who had like a lot of serious allegations against or by one person, and he put like the 55-page Google Doc with like screenshots of messages and stories and like all like basically completely exonerating himself entirely, and that all the allegations against him were completely false, and that dude is still getting like death threats and so much hate and so much for something he didn't even do, and that sucks too. It sucks that there's not a simple, easy answer to these sorts of problems because
that's just now anytime
how the world is now.
It really is. Anytime anybody just claimed like what happened with Vic Mignogna, the Ruby Crow voice actor, like people just said, "Hey, he did these things," and immediately Funimation and Rooster Teeth just went, "Okay, see ya." And now he's stuck in lawsuits over it, even though a lot of it's been proven that it wasn't even true to begin with.
Like how the internet is, just like even with the world, like how it was always innocent until proven guilty. The world now, like even in real life, not just online stuff, you are guilty until proven innocent, and even then you are still guilty because people just see the first headline of this person has been accused of this and they go, "Oh, what a fucked up cunt," and then they never look or think about that person ever again. Like whether it comes out whether they've been cleared or whether it was true, they don't care. They don't look at that. So the moment you're accused of anything, you're guilty, according to the internet.
Yeah.
It's definitely a nasty double-edged sword where on one hand it's important to hear the stories of people who have been abused and who have been, and there's a lot of value that can come from that there's it's very liberating for people to tell their story and what happened to them, and it's good that people know that somebody's like an abusive there's been like so many clear-cut cases of somebody's like, yeah, this person is just a terrible person, and it's good that people came forward. But like everything in life, it exists sort of on a spectrum where there's no way to perfectly balance making sure that people who do serious shit that people that people believe.
We talked a lot about spectrums.
And to
in my mind, I was just going from mild to wild, baby. Sorry, this is a serious thing, and like we genuinely should be serious about it.
But
I completely agree with you. Like people need to be able to have a platform to be able to tell their stories and feel comfortable enough to tell their stories. But when it's wrong, it's fucked.
Yeah.
On the flip side, on the flip side, I guess it sort of comes down to that age-old question of how many innocent people should be punished, or how many guilty people should be let go before you punish an innocent person, right? Like we have, this is an age-old philosophical question where, if you have a justice system, innocent people go to jail. That's just a reality. But where do you set that bar? How many innocent people is it okay to sacrifice? And how many innocent people is it okay to have their careers destroyed for something they didn't do in order to bring actual like predators and rapists to justice? And there's no perfect answer to that, but it's good to talk about it, and it's good to be aware of it, and it's good to and I think in many cases we've seen, especially when like multiple people have come out against the same person, that you can begin to establish a level of confidence there is something that needs to.
I think the biggest thing is you just have to focus on not taking sides immediately.
But it's
like you got to wait till everything is out in the air before you come to any kind of conclusion, and then even then you still have to wait until
at least like a week.
Shit gets clear.
Like I would say, the only time you could come to a conclusion is like using the Karate situation, where Karai himself actively came out and said, "Yeah, no, I did this fucked up shit."
Yeah,
like, he blatantly came out and was like, "I had relations with a 16-year-old." It's just like, yeah.
That's fucked.
Dude, that situation. There's a like 3-part series, like kind of mini documentary on YouTube about it. I'll send it to you over if you're interested in, because that situation is wild.
Well, on a lighter note, I should.
Now we're on
that leads in. We'll keep the serious going for a second, because this is like
we'll keep it.
sort of like another part to it, because when someone gets wrongly accused and they are found guilty by the internet, for some people it's, that's the end of their life, especially not the end of their life. They perceive it to be the end of their, their living and how they make their money and stuff, like when they create content online, and it can be too much for some people,
Yeah, like Jenna, kind of in that same way. It's kind of like the thing that happened with Jenna Marbles. That,
yeah. There needs to be understanding that people can grow, and for anyone who's not familiar, basically she had a few old videos from like 8 years ago that weren't like, I think in one of them she did like impersonating Nicki Minaj, like do a little bit. It was like a parody video, but she like did like
but there wasn't anything like malicious behind it.
In like an insensitive way, but not like an outright, it wasn't like malicious. There, and there's like a few small things like that, and I think she like made the videos private, and like, and from what I understand, I don't really watch her content, and I only know this from secondhand, but like from what I understand, she's genuinely good person and is grown and changed a lot, and and the internet was different back then. It really was. I know like that's thrown around, but it's like
it was that one. Then another video,
people like a lot less aware of social
like
issues
Asian
and
people. Hilariously enough, old buddy, I can't think of his name. He's the Asian dude for Wild and Out with Nick Cannon. He was in the video, which that, and again, it's like a parody thing, so it's like,
I mean, for me, like, I used to be like, I used to be like straight up homophobic. Not because I was a terrible person, not because I was, but that's because that's the environment I grew up in. Like, I grew up in a super conservative, ultra, and so that was all I knew. Like if you took things that I said or thought from 7 years ago, like it'd be like, yes, that's obviously terrible. Like I wasn't ever an asshole. Like I wasn't ever, but it's like I did, but it.
Cancel culture,
people have to be given the opportunity to grow as a person, and I think
it's just like Gojo was saying. It's like you are guilty, even if you are proven innocent, you're still guilty.
Yeah,
you have to be the perfect person.
Yeah,
which doesn't exist is the stupidest thing.
People grow and people change.
It's
not
even so much that society changes.
Better. And
I mean, that was 8 years ago.
I think
people thought completely different things 8 years ago than they do now. Something that somebody said that would have been perfectly fine 8 years ago, now all of a sudden could lose them their career. But that stuff's still out there. It's not like you can get rid of it, and it's not wrong that they put it out back then. It was accepted back then. It's just not accepted now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. And like your point, Halo, like
it's a heavy topic.
You were raised fairly religious, right?
I mean, yeah, like super, like I every week, or not every week, but we've been regularly like stuck in church or just in church, and people hearing about the preacher talk about the homosexual agenda just constantly. You hear, I could go on and on. There's a lot of fucked up stories that maybe I'll tell sometime. But it's like I think people, there's a really powerful story that I've read. It was, have you guys heard about the guy who basically
the black guy, I can't think of his
people
name.
who were people from the KKK. It's like this black dude, he went out and he befriended them and like helped change them, helped educate them, and helped them. Like, I think fundamentally, even people who would be considered like bad, like I think most people are at least decent, and that a lot of the prejudice and a lot of the
100%.
A lot of this comes from a place of a lack of education and a lack of understanding.
Entirely. But it's
that.
Sorry, carry on.
I
was just going to say, because sorry.
I was going to say.
I was just going to say, like, when I was saying, you were brought up like fairly religious. So you, as a child, as you're going through your developmental stage of like your brain and how you're growing up as a person, that was taught to you every weekend, as you say. That's a learned thing that was planted in your head as a child and sort of grew slightly as you developed as a person. But then you got out of that environment and then you realized, wait, this shit's fucked up. So you essentially retaught yourself that what you'd learnt before was not right in any way. It was so clearly wrong. Like a lot of bigotry and racism and homophobia, all of that stuff. It's not a genetic thing. You learn it. At some point in your life, you have learned how you feel about a certain person or group of people or whatever. You learn it. So you can unlearn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sticking with you, especially, and again, like you said, the younger you are, the longer it sticks with you, and you really do have to like reprogram your brain. I get what Halo's saying. As someone else who grew up fairly religious, it's like when you're in church and you're constantly hearing like, "Thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that," and you're like fucking 4, that sticks with you.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about like the indoctrination that goes into like a lot of kids, and and that process of growing, becoming your own person, learning.
Some of that comes down to parenting as well, because like your parents, I'm assuming, would have gone exactly through the same as you did as a child. But again, it was a different time.
Yes, not.
Also, again, people aren't.
But yeah, it's it's people aren't good or bad. They're not good or evil. I feel like that's there's nuance. Like the world exists in a shade of gray. Like without I there's somebody I know, and I won't say relation or anything, who made us, they're older, but they made a statement that they think all the homosexuals should be shot. Like that's just what they said. Now that comes from a place of, I know that person as a kid was abused by their father, and that was that like serious bad shit, and that plays into that and I don't want to get into stories, but it's like, is that person a terrible person? No. I mean, they're actually like a good, caring person that now it wasn't said super seriously, but it's like people aren't good and evil. Like there's a spectrum here. There's there's nuance to this, and it's important that we try to understand 100%. People so that we can help them change and grow and become better. I don't know if that story was probably hard to tell because I was trying to leave out as much detail as possible. But I hope the point comes across. Like a lot of prejudice, a lot of it just comes from a place of pain or a lack of education, or you think about like racism that rose up after the results.
Yeah, I mean,
of
pretty
wars
much
and stuff.
forever.
You see this all
really
throughout human history.
How to think, but more so what to think, and that doesn't work. Especially not today, where somebody might be living in another continent with a completely different mindset to you, and now everyone's connected all of a sudden, and it hasn't been for very long.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm gonna go there, boys. All right, like Hitler as an example. A lot of his hatred towards groups, such as me, a lot of that came from serious like childhood traumas and things that went wrong. Like
you go all the way back to the if I understand correctly, Germany was largely Lutheran, and like you go back to the treaties like Martin Luther, like on the Jews and their lies, like that's so deep rooted.
It's like what's happening in Europe today, like with war raging across all of these Islamic countries in North Africa and in the Middle East and stuff, and you get an influx of immigrants moving away from the trouble. It was a similar thing back then. So late 19th century, like 1890 area, there were the pogroms going on in Russia, which a lot of people don't know about, but the Russians hated the Jews. So they were trying to clear them out of Russia. So all of the Jews in Russia fled west. We all went into Europe. And so, you have areas such as Poland, Czechoslovakia, Austria, Germany, you sort of move your way in. So there's an influx of sudden Jewish immigrants. And then they're like, oh, these people are coming here, taking our jobs, taking our homes. Like what's happening in Europe now. People are saying exactly the same thing. And then, Hitler's mum dies as well, and he has a Jewish doctor, and he blames the doctor for not saving his mum. Like, there's loads of stuff, and then even after World War One, a lot of the Germans blame the Jews for Germany losing the war, which is just retarded. But you know, it is what it is. You got to have a scapegoat somewhere.
Yeah.
So it just sort of like everything just it was a series of events that just trickled into
it's a really shitty
what it
domino
became,
effect.
yeah.
Kind of the same thing happens here in the U.S., where it's like we have a bunch of like Hispanic immigrants, but the reason we have a lot of Hispanic immigrants because they're literally fleeing from like cartels and shit, being like, all right, like your house is literally now part of our like gang territory. Get the fuck out! And it's like, I guess we're gonna go north and go into America, and it's like because there's nowhere else to go.
Which is
and it's a completely different culture, completely different language.
Which is, funnily enough, something that America's also feeding into is the cartels and, dodgy dealings in and around all that stuff as well. You don't help it, and then all of the Mexicans are like, well, the easiest place to go is up.
The only place to go is
America. Yeah. So it's like, they can't do anything, but then you get everybody going, oh, you're coming here, taking all of our land, like doing all of this shit. And it's like, fam,
like
literally someone just fucking. What would you be doing if this was happening in your country?
Booted your door in, and it's like, it's not even... you leave within a week, or you're getting fucking taken out back, and yelling like it's that.
Yeah.
There's also the idea that the U.S. is a very wealthy place. Like we're excluding Gojo, but you're same for you in the UK. Like we're all very fortunate to be born into a country where minimum wage in the US, it's like you look at like global wealth, like it's insane the difference between countries that are poor and first world countries that like the US and Europe and places where there's just so many more opportunities. Like you can't fault anybody for wanting to try to make a better life.
You also have to look at these people aren't exactly coming in here middle class. Like they're coming in at the bottom of the ladder. So they already get looked down on anyway.
Like when I took my mission trip to Guatemala back senior year of high school, it was like, you go there, you're going to go help people. And it's like, when you get there and you see like, oh no, there is like an actual shanty town in the like city dump. And this is where like a good chunk of the population lives. And then again, you have like cartels and shit basically running into the city dump being like, get the fuck out. And it's like, well, I guess we're moving north, boys.
Yeah, like where else is for them to go? Like they're bottom of the rung even in their country, and then they're getting like pushed out of it. Where can they go?
It's worth just taking and thinking like how fortunate we all are to be in like both a time and a place where we can
do sit around like and like shoot and do a podcast whether or not we're going to survive. Like some poor guy in like Central America who's just like, oh hey, there's a garbage truck going by. Let me like run and hop in the back of it and see if I can find some scrap metal or recycle and get some change.
I mean, we pretty objectively live in the best part of human history, except for maybe last year. Last year was a little bit better, but.
Yeah, I feel like that's worth talking.
This year's a bit rough to be saying that.
Yeah. True, but like I feel like it's worth mentioning that as well. You look at some of the things we're talking about, it's fucked up. Like the world is so much of a better place now than it was 100 years ago. Like even just 50. Like how long ago was it that like segregation was in effect? Like how long ago was it that it was considered normal for like people to get married, like adults to like marry people
12
like teens or like that was just a thing that happened everywhere. Yeah, like how long ago was it that there was just like rampant like just like racism, homophobia, like we've like had our horizons, our eyes like broadened by the advent of things like the internet, where we've just been exposed to so much more that I think a lot of sort of discrimination, but there's a word for that, like generally, whatever. Yeah. A lot of that comes from a place of a lack of education and exposure. And as the world grows closer together, like we
also fortunately live in the only point in human history where progress has just kind of trended upward. I mean, historically, like if you look back, like pre-1700s, I guess you have to go back even further. It's kind of gone up and down and up and down and up and down, but it's just continually gone up for the last several hundred years.
Like like we haven't had global wars. Like we haven't had global wars. There's been, there's more food and wealth than there ever has been before. We're making progress on things like tackling big problems like climate change. Now, there's a lot to be said that needs to be done there, but like there is progress being made. Like people are becoming more aware of the issues. We're starting to understand things like, hey, don't throw gallons, tons of plastic into the ocean. Start making, try to take care of the world. Things like planting like team trees, like planting a bunch of trees. Like we've seen, it's not like, so even going to like some of the current affairs in the US, like with the police brutality and that, like it's not like this is a new thing. It's not like all of this stuff just started happening now, but like we've reached a point where it's like, okay, we're not okay with this and we need to make some changes. And like we actually have things like cameras and phones to be able to record these things and have a level of accountability there. In the midst of all of the shit that's going on, it's just worth knowing that things are getting better.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's the old saying
lots
of
like reasons to be optimistic.
We've come far, but we still got further to go. But we're still moving forward. It's like we always like everyone's talking about how 2020 is like hands down worst year in human history, and it's like let's be real, it's full on hyper. Like in the mic, really like not. As like looking on a macro level, it's like 2020 is like fucking nothing. It's like
it's not even the worst.
No, it's like this sucks. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to like belittle it, but like as a grand whole, it's not that
bad. Yeah, it literally wiped out 60%.
Talk about like the
of
Black Death,
and I think world population at that time. Of Europe. Actually, I'm gonna Google it.
I'm pretty sure.
This
is what I was gonna say. Like when we were talking about like, information and stuff. Like I remember in school, I had an English teacher who was always saying, the information that we have access to is next level. It's more than ever before in human history. And if you think about it, because every day it's increasing and increasing.
You can literally do anything, learn anything.
The information we have access to now, in comparison, in Shakespearean times, they had access to, I think it was like less than 1% of the information that we currently have.
Even
like it's probably even less than 0.5%, which is crazy.
Not
because,
even.
like, just your phone. You can have a calculator on your phone. You can get Google on your phone. You can literally find any information you want.
You hold all of like the collective human knowledge, current and developing, in your pocket. That's insane.
By the way, that was 60% of Europe's entire population, or 50 million deaths.
Yeah.
Like, you look at the just like that, just dead. Can you
in a much less connected society?
Or the people who died and things like
that. I mean, you would have an entire village die off.
Yeah.
Or a very large portion of that village die off, and the people left wouldn't be accepted anywhere else because nobody's going to take the people from the village of people that just died.
Like, oh, hey, where are you from? Yeah, we're from the north of the village. Didn't they, like, half of you all, like, catch the plague and die? Get the fuck out of here. You're just like,
So we've had a bit of an up moment, a positive moment, but I think the next thing to talk about, even just briefly, is it's going to be a little bit sad. If for those of you who don't know, and I don't want to make light of it, Reckful, who was a World of Warcraft and Hearthstone streamer, is like one of the first big streamers on Twitch, died of suicide today. It was really sad to see, and I don't want to linger on that specifically, just out of respect. But it's worth talking about the seriousness of things like depression and suicidal thoughts, and how important it is to not just be aware of those things, but to talk about them from time to time. Because I don't know about any of you guys, but me personally, there was a time in my life where I nearly killed myself. There was a time where I was staring at a loaded gun, almost killed myself. Like I've been there, so I understand that when people are in that state of mind, and when it's very easy to feel isolated and alone, and that like you're the only person that has these thoughts or these feelings. And so I think it's worth just talking about a little bit, and maybe our experiences with that. And what about, have you guys struggled at all with?
I kind of honestly, not me personally.
If you're comfortable sharing it,
can knock on wood that I've never been like just like depressed to the point of like wanting to kill myself. I have had friends who've been in that state, and I've talked to them, and they've gotten through it, thank God. And I could definitely so it's hard for me to comment on because I've never been there, but like I feel like I have to wind up agreeing with my old English teachers of like she would kind of just reiterate what you were saying, just like you're not by yourself. There are people and resources. There are things out there where you can get help. Like no one wants you to die. Like, and honestly, I think if you deep down, you don't want to die. So it's just if you're out there and you're feeling that, definitely try your best to like seek out help because someone will help you. Someone will.
I think just talking with people, friends, find a support line, find people to talk to, even on the just the act of talking and acknowledging that there's something that you need to get help or that there's a problem, I think is for me at least, I can speak from personal experience, was the most helpful thing. And I'm happy to say that like right now my life is great. I'm happier than I have ever been, and I've got so I don't have anything to plan. I don't even like worry on that. But it is it is an important thing to talk about and to understand that a lot of people in a situation like that just feel helpless or feel like they don't have any other option. They feel like
especially as like men as well, we tend to bottle stuff up, which is just
not a good idea.
It's so stupid. Like everyone has different experiences in life, but you can still talk to people and they will try to understand. They will try and help you, and they will find a way of helping you get through what you're dealing with and stuff, which is something that I mean, it's taken me a long time to realize that, but I have realized that now. I kind of don't want to say because like none of you know, but you are all my friends, and I feel like I probably should say it. I have also tried to kill myself before. This was actually 2 years ago. 2 years ago in the summer. I didn't speak to anyone, which was, looking back at it, just the wrong thing to do entirely. And I know that now, and like I'm fine now. Like, yeah, I've got different shit going on, but I'm good. I'm all right, But back then, there was stuff going on in all sorts of parts of my life, and it was just like nothing was going right. You just have those moments where, like, even if it's like a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever, you will get better. Like, no matter how shit stuff gets, stuff does get better. Like, yeah. Yeah, so I stupidly just decided, like, fuck it, this is going to be it. Like, I don't want to carry on with this shit that's going on. Like, I just want it to all stop. So I thought the best way was to kill myself. So I grabbed a rope from our garage. Didn't tell anyone, didn't tell my parents, didn't tell my sister, didn't, say anything to anybody. And I went to the woods, literally just down the road from me, found a quiet place, found a big tree, climbed the tree, even though I'm afraid of heights, which is the stupidest way, really. Yeah, so tied the on this yeah on the tree, tied one end to the tree,
on the tree,
other end for my neck, said a few prayers, and then I was like, right, this is it. Waited for a moment, sort of, I don't know, it was a weird moment of like collecting myself in a way, sort of like composing myself to do it. Yeah. And then
preparing.
Well, that's the thing. I did actually do it. But this was like a fat off fucking tree branch. That's the word, branch. I was trying to fucking remember. There was a fat off fucking branch. So I was like, ain't no way this shit's going wrong. Apart from this branch did somehow break, and I dropped like, it was 15 foot, something like that. So, yeah, I took a bit of time off away from pretty much everything for, a month or whatever it was, and sort of got my shit together. And yeah, I was just like, I'm not going to tell anyone about this. It never happened. And then I just moved on. But yeah, I've have felt bad before for not telling any of you, that happened. Thank you.
I'm glad you have an internet hug. I wanna give you a hug, tap in the back. But it's I definitely understand. I think the thing people don't realize is that, at least the thing I didn't for the longest time, I just wouldn't share. It's like, what are they gonna think? They're gonna think I'm weak. They're gonna think I can't handle my problems. They're gonna, there was this sort of, not ego thing, but it's like if I convince people I've got my shit together, then maybe I will actually, And I remember one time I actually
I
put in a Google Docs. I remember, you guys remember, like, I wrote out, I just couldn't sleep, and I was so depressed, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. And I wasn't suicidal because I'd already been down that road, but I just didn't know. Like, it was very much a low point for me. But I think that's really where I learned that sharing things, at least with people with close to you, even people that aren't, brings you closer together, and people aren't going to think worse of you because you share the things that you go through and the struggle you go through. But we don't hear, like, you guys don't hear the story about me nearly killing myself and think, wow, what a weak, or you think, wow, like, I'm so glad you did, like Gojo, like, hearing that story, we don't think, we're just happy you're with us, and happy that things worked out the way they did. And I think if there's anything that people need to know, it's that there's value, there's peace of mind, that comes from just sharing.
And the thing is, if people react negatively to that, it's probably not people you should be around anyway.
Exactly. And if someone does react negatively or whatever to whatever you say to them, fuck them off. There's always someone else. There is always someone that will listen, that will understand. There are even people that don't understand that will help you, If people genuinely care about you, which, there will be people in your life that do genuinely care about you. I don't care what anybody says. They fucking are, right? Like, yeah, people will listen. People will help. You just got to speak, And it takes courage in itself just to, speak about, like, Halo. Like, that took courage for you to say that, and, to say that you're having problems as well. Like, that takes courage.
Same for you.
Yeah, I felt bad for really not ever saying that before, but I was like,
glad you're with us.
It's history. It's happened. I'm here. It's all good. I'm fine. Like,
I think when you're in that state of mind, that you just feel like you need to keep your problems to yourself. It's like, no, this is on me.
You don't want to feel like a burden. But that's the thing, though. You're not a burden, because
I feel like helpless. And,
if they are genuinely your friend, if these are people who genuinely care about you, they will help you. You won't be a burden. They are. They will literally be like, oh, okay, cool. You're going through some shit. Let me fucking put my shit on pause for a second. Let me help you with your shit. They will do it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you always think, this is my shit, I got to deal with it. But it's like the old saying, a problem shared is a problem halved. And it really is. Like, it genuinely helps so much. Just even to say what you're going through to someone, or like, if you're having problems in any way, just like, even if it's a shit day, you just go, I'm having a shit day. Like, your friend will be like, all right, let's do something. Your friend will instantly want to try and cheer you up and turn that day around for you. Like, people care, I don't know where I'm going with this.
No, you're absolutely right. There's like, I think it also helps us, like, when we share our, problems and stuff, it helps us, like, acknowledge that there is a problem. Because I don't know what anyone else has experienced like for me, but for me personally, depression, and that, it was very, there was definitely times where you'd wake up and everything would be fine. You'd feel normal. I'd feel normal and feel like everything's okay. Like, and I'd be able to convince myself, oh, I'm fine. There's no big, But just talking helping yourself acknowledge, okay, no, something is a problem and I do need to. It's such a big step. And also, I would like to say, therapy for anybody who
there's nothing wrong with it at all.
There's absolutely no shame in asking for help, and it can be so useful just to talk. Talk with somebody.
If you can afford, I would highly recommend. And like I have to say this, like I have this very short going by. I have to say this, like as a black person, because like in the black community, we do not talk about mental health. Yeah. Like we just don't. We hand wave. I was like, oh, he's crazy. Oh, which is first of all the worst possible way to talk about it. Like first and foremost, but second of all, there is nothing wrong with it. So like, I feel like I do need to say this, like as a black person, if this can just reach like one of my fellow brothers and sisters, like, and you're going through some and you can afford therapy, do it. There is nothing wrong with it. You're not crazy. You are just it's just like the cold. You're sick and you just need to go to the right doctor. That's all it is.
That's some true shit, like on a real. That's so true. And like the other thing with sharing as well, how you view what's going on with you is like you can only see this. You can't see past this. You can't see what's going on around this. Like how you can't see the bigger picture. You see this picture like right literally in front of your face. Once you share that with someone, they will see it as a whole picture, you know. They will see how it ties in with other stuff going on, and like you always view your shit as like really bad shit. Sometimes it's not even always that bad shit. Like there are positives to it. You know, everything's always looks dark. You just got to see that little bit of light, you know.
When you're in that headspace, when you're like in that mode, everything just feels like so overwhelming. You know, feels so like helpless, like a spectator in your own life, you know. And talking with people can help you get perspective, see things differently.
On a lighter note,
but
what about you, Doc? You've not said anything during this.
I'm glad we talked about that. So
you've not said anything.
I didn't really have anything to say, and you guys were carrying it on fine. So,
but have you like for me, like even though I did try and kill myself, I wouldn't say I'm depressed or like I've ever been depressed, which is weird in a way, I guess. But like, you know, it's just finding positive things that are going on. Like no matter what it is, like my body's fucked, it's attacking itself and all of this other stuff is going on. But like, you know, there's some good stuff going on too. Like we've got this going, YouTube, Twitch, like all of that other stuff. Like that's positive parts of my life that I can look at. But like, you know, Dark, what the fuck's going on?
It's like that quote. It's like that quote where like if you look for the darkness, it's all you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
You got to look for that little bit of light, you know. No matter how small it is, light is light. Light is life.
Yeah.
You know.
That's poetic.
Next T-shirt.
I mean, it's true. Like people grow, people change. You know, just because things are a certain way. I always like to think, you know, how different of a person was I 5 years ago? Just completely different person. Just completely different. You know, how much changed 5 years before that? 5 years before that, I was what, 13? Completely different person. 5 years before that, I was what, 8? Math is hard. Like we change so much and we grow so much. And the things that seem like such a big deal to us now, 5-10 years ago, will just be like a drop in the bucket. And anybody struggling with similar sort of thing, if all you do is survive, if that's all you do for a day, a month, a year, longer, if that's okay.
You know,
it's
you've
okay
been able to survive as a person.
Survive and just to
like you don't have to be successful overnight. I mean, Stan Lee didn't start writing comics until he was like 45. So yeah.
There's life is short, but it's also really
hopefully long.
You grow and you change and
seriously.
Famous last words. But so I'm glad we talked about this. I'm glad, you know, let's like we had a very productive and meaningful discussion.
But going back to what you're saying, it is important to talk about this stuff.
Which is good for us.
And you ain't kidding. Fucking hell, for this group to actually like not meme it up and be fucking sick, like
for us to talk about serious stuff is like next level. We are the least serious people you will ever meet.
Also, for anyone who made it through that, comment waffles because I'm kind of curious.
100%.
100%. I'm just gonna say it once.
Speaking of waffles.
Anyways.
Speaking of waffles, today's sponsor.
Waffle House.
Oh, if only. I'd take some waffle sponsors. Waffles are good.
I like waffles. Waffles are good.
Let's stop talking about waffles and get on to the fact that, you know, the next topic on our list is Dark.
Which one's first?
Is Dark not talking?
Oh, here we go, boys. Now it's time for the memes are coming. If you're like, man.
So we're gonna start this off with Dark. You're going to tell us the story of that day. You're going to set the scene for us. Tell us how it went down.
I mean, there really isn't much of a story besides like there was somebody in a PAX hoodie and I didn't talk to them. Which, of course, you know, is a cardinal sin for anyone, apparently.
Okay. Let me just, because he's not going to do it, and because we work together and live in the same state, I'll set the scene. So,
I was going to say, this motherfucker is the worst storyteller. If he ever has a kid, he's going to go, once upon a time, there was a fairy, it then died at the end. Goodbye.
Audiobooks.
Have a good one.
Nah. It's going to be once upon a time. Let me just click on the little Bluetooth speaker and we'll just set it in my lap.
So, this. Fucking hell.
Probably not, considering the topic.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, given this story, he ain't never having kids.
So.
Hey, adoption's a thing. Not that I would, but, you know. Not that I have a problem with adoption. I just don't want kids.
Anyway. So, it's. Stated in the first podcast, me and him work in the same store.
I have to get that out there.
And I work overnight. He works during the day. So he comes in for his shift, you know, as you do. And he's like, oh, hey, I saw a girl in a PAX hoodie. And I was like, and you talked to her, right? And his response was, no, instead. And these are his exact words verbatim. So don't you fucking argue with me, motherfucker.
I don't even remember what I said, I'll be honest.
Verbatim were, I stopped what I was doing and followed her around to like a fucking creeper. Yes,
no,
that's literally what you told me. Yes.
No. What happened was I saw her walk by and then went, oh, maybe I should walk over there. And then went, oh, maybe I shouldn't. And literally just turned around.
No, you told me you like followed her. Like it wasn't long, but you still followed her is what you told me. You were like, huh.
I mean,
fucking follows her and is like, and says nothing. He's just creeping hard, just creeping hard.
Well, no, after the first time, I was like, oh, maybe I should. But at that point, you know, there was no opportunity there.
And then
you only get one chance.
Why didn't you speak to her?
I'll be honest, I just didn't. There wasn't really much of a reason.
There has to be a reason. Like, you don't see the PAX hoodie, decide to go over there, and then go, nah, and then walk away. Like,
no, I didn't decide to go over there. I decided
social
not
anxiety's
to,
the
then
bitch.
decided to go over there.
And then you turned around, you said, after you decided to go over there.
No, I decided not to, and then I went, oh, well, maybe I should, but then she was gone at that point, so.
Why would you not?
Like, again, like to reiterate, me and him live in the state of Alabama and we're fucking nerds, all right? Like, that, what you saw was a unicorn.
You might want to reword that, because we're not.
Like, we're like, okay, we're nerds living in, like, Alabama, so we're like, not only are we, like, in the fucking Bible Belt, like, we're nerds in the Bible Belt, and it's like, oh, hey, look at that. a fellow nerd, and she happens to be FOMO. Like, I should probably go talk to.
You should have just pointed
like,
to the PAX.
not to try be a creeper. I'm not trying to be like, yeah, you should have fucking like not to be a creeper about it. But like, you should have said something. You should have been like, oh.
All you had to do was start a conversation. Just be like, you already had the point of entry, which is the hardest part of going up to a girl and starting a conversation. You need something to talk about.
What's that point of entry?
Don't start saying that, right? Settle down. Settle down.
You said it, not
right?
me.
You got to have an opening to the conversation then. That is the easiest in you will ever have with a girl in your fucking life.
You're
Probably, yeah.
You could have just gone.
Apparently.
We're all trying to help Dart get out there.
You've been to PAX. I've been like 3 years in a row or whatever. Like,
this was like 2 years ago, so it was once.
All right, whatever. Then you can still just fucking talk about it, man.
Wait, you're saying this. Aren't you the person who literally just before we started said, oh yeah, I did the same thing like a few days ago?
I kind of did a similar thing, but I actually spoke to her, right?
Oh, did you?
My story that happened, wait, what day is it? It's Thursday today. It was Monday, I think I did it.
Welcome
Monday
to
or
quarantine.
Tuesday.
What day is it?
I think it was Monday. I was going out for a drive, like. So I'm out for this drive, and I'm going through sort of like this village, but there's a fairly like main busy road going through it. I want to turn right, so I'm going across traffic to turn right. This girl is waiting literally by the junction, wanting.
Oh God.
Yeah, there was she was literally standing by this junction, right, wanting to cross the road. So there's the lane I had come down, then there's the middle where I'm waiting to cross, then there's the other side, which is busy. So I decide to wait to let her cross. But there's so much stuff either coming against me and coming out of the junction that she's standing there for like 2-3 minutes after I've been waiting to let her go. So then she looked at me and was like, you can go, it's okay. And I was like, no, I've got nowhere to go. I'm happy to wait. And she's like, oh, okay, thank you. I've been waiting for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, bruh, I'm definitely waiting for you to cross. So I was like, oh, at least it's not raining. And I was like talking to her, just, random shit. But like, this girl was peng. She was fit, like, she was there for so long. I could have just been like,
British slang, it's the best.
I could have just been like, yo, what's your number? But I didn't. I could have, and I should have done, but I didn't.
You could have.
Annoying. But I did speak to her at least, Unlike Dark. What do you mean progress? I can talk to girls perfectly.
To be fair,
fine.
everyone here, he holds the record.
Does he?
What, for longest spoken to a girl? Because like I think even a 1 second conversation trumps all of you.
No, hey, no, I've talked to girls before. I'm not gonna say I never said I never talked to girls. I have.
Come now.
I can't speak for the other two.
As Devil's just like, nah, you don't know her. She's in a different state.
No, I've literally no, because like.
To go just Insta stalking
habits? Let's move on.
Fam, I don't stalk girls on Insta. I don't know where this is coming from.
Oh yeah, your blasphemous cereal eating habits.
I figure we might move on to how to eat cereal. Okay, when you eat cereal, you get a bowl of breakfast cereal. You put the cereal on the table. You put the milk on the table. You get a bowl.
Yeah.
You pour the cereal. You pour the milk. You eat the cereal. Then
correct.
More,
Star told us you fucking like a heathen took the box.
That's
with
how you eat cereal.
You took the cereal box and the milk to your room literally yesterday.
That's the only table that I have to eat.
Yeah, why do you take
the milk? I have a dining room
like
table.
a bar?
I have to eat on a table. Like the desk is where I eat. Because you don't want to like carry a filled
Back
bowl
and
of
forth.
cereal,
There's
like,
only
back
a
and forth.
fourth.
Like,
There
you're
is
eating
no
cereal
back.
at a table. It's
You
just
have
a
2
different
hands.
table.
How did you carry this full bowl of cereal? I'm assuming with a spoon. You didn't like shovel it into your mouth like with your hands like some kind of fucking ape or some shit. And then you took the milk and the cereal as well. Was this a 2-trip job? Or did you manage to do this in 1 trip?
Okay, but nevertheless, you don't have like a bar
Okay.
or like a cat,
One trip, easy.
like something to like in the kitchen.
Devil, you're jumping the gun.
Bowl,
Okay, wait.
spoon,
So did you eat the
cereal
cereal at your
box,
desk?
sandwiched, milk.
Then why did you take the cereal and milk with you in the bowl as well as in your
Where I
hands?
eat all my food.
Yeah,
Because-
why wouldn't you fill it up in your room if you were going to do it?
I didn't take it with me in the bowl. Like I took the empty bowl in. I took the empty bowl in, and then I poured at a table like you eat cereal.
I think everyone in the world, apart from
This-
you,
this
right,
is normal.
goes into their kitchen, grabs a bowl, puts bowl on counter, grabs cereal, pours cereal, puts cereal away, goes to fridge, grabs milk, pours milk, puts milk away,
Yeah.
then grabs spoon, puts spoon in bowl, take bowl wherever you want to fucking go. And then you eat.
But I was
Hold up.
hungry, and so I wanted to eat
I'm not
like
done.
3 bowls of cereal.
Then you eat, and then if you're like, I could do with a little bit more, then once you're done eating that bowl, you then go back to kitchen, put bowl, empty bowl, on the counter. You then go and grab cereal and put more in, then put cereal back, then go to fridge, grab fucking milk, and then
Rojo, we
pour
need
it
to get
out
you-
again. You don't take the cereal and milk
We
with
need to get
you.
you to narrate
That
how
is
it's made.
heathenous. That is
Just
like
like
dark
this.
microwaving a steak.
I've reheated a steak. There's a difference.
You put it in the microwave. No one puts steak in a microwave.
I did.
Look, I'm nothing if not efficient.
Hey, look,
so
if
if
you
I'm gonna
wanted to
sit
be
down,
efficient,
I know
you would
I'm
just
gonna have a
take
few
the
bowls
bag
of
out of the
cereal.
box.
I'm gonna bring
Or
the
just get
stuff
one of like
with
the
me so
cereal
I
that's
can
in a
do it
bag,
here.
right? You open the top, you pour the milk in, and you grab a
I was gonna
mixing
say,
spoon
yeah,
and
you do
carry
it
it
like
with you.
Fridays. You get like the
Look.
big ass fucking mixing bowl and fucking pour. Exactly.
You know how
I was going
Yeah.
to say, you take a
you know how
mixing
efficient
bowl.
I am.
Cock sucking heathen.
I literally have
Actual
cereal
blasphemous
here
heathen.
next to my desk, so I don't have to bring it.
Like,
This fucking. How's that book I got you for Secret Santa?
Jeez.
You need to read
sure it is.
because like
It's
you
up on
know,
the shelf, remaining
Could help me, man.
untouched.
oh,
living with autism is a serious thing. Like you
Genuine
might-
question.
I
Genuine
It's
think
how-
question.
after this, you need help.
Oh, Gojo just got all sorts of weird there for a second. You good?
oh boy.
But nah, he just
I
like
don't know. It should be
Got a
fine. Now.
problem with
freaked out
audio
there for a
volume
second.
and stuff. He literally got me a book like living well on the spectrum, like living with autism.
As you do.
For Secret Santa.
No, that was the
He
actual
actually got
gift.
me an actual gift, but that was the meme one.
I never stated, you know, which one was the actual one, which one was the main.
Halo always gets the best meme gifts. Not to toot my own horn or
This
anything.
fucking guy.
It's true. Mr. He 3D printed me a dick
Jesus
with the
Christ.
for my stick shift
It's like this
in my
big.
car.
I even printed it out of black filament. Not for any particular reason or anything, but
Oh,
oh god, 2 jokes we can't make.
We're so scuffed.
why?
Moving on.
Moving on. We had a bit of a discussion about how everybody.
yeah,
has
we
a-
Everybody
skipped
does have a
a
price.
We've skipped a story here. I mean, to be fair,
Everybody
it's
has a
not that
dollar
real a
amount.
story.
We've been going for like an hour and 40 minutes, by
It's
the way.
fine.
The
It's
bomb
not much
story.
of a story, right? You just got evacuated for. We didn't start the plot. We talked.
It
for
can
like
be a
an
slightly
hour
longer one.
before,
It's
so
fine.
it's, you know,
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's fine.
we
Yeah,
should
we
have
covered
about
some
40,
serious
50
stuff,
minutes
so-
in the.
It can be
I gotta
slightly
edit
longer.
that now, so thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
It should be pretty easy. You can just start at the beginning and then, you know, finish at the
Anyway,
end. Like,
so we all have a price apparently, and you know, let's say the price is 40 grand. If your name is Halo, For 40 grand, you will be on your hands and knees with a dick in your mouth and your dick in each hand and one in the ass. So there we go.
I'd have to ask for a little bit more than 40 grand for that. I'll be honest.
It's a lot of money,
I'd be asking
man.
for fucking
Like-
40 million for that. Jesus.
40 grand is a lot of money. That's
Yeah, I mean,
That's
it's
literally
it's
like a year and a half
maybe
of wages or
an hour of
2 years.
unpleasantness for 40 grand. I mean,
yeah. Would you rather spend
Yeah, it
an
would take me
hour
2 years to
unpleasantness
make that
or
much
like
work.
I was gonna
100
say,
weeks
it's
of
like
work?
2 years or 2.3 years for me.
Yeah, about the
Not that
same.
much.
and I have a feeling where I work is worse.
Like, let's.
But either way, I ain't fucking
is.
doing it for 40
100%.
grand. I know 40 grand's a lot of money.
Look,
I ain't
we
doing
all
that
we
shit,
all know
bro.
you do it for free, but
No, I wouldn't do it for free.
Jesus.
Fucking
Anyways, it's
disgraceful.
probably
You did.
probably.
it's probably a good time to wrap up the podcast soon here. We've covered a lot. Like, it was a good episode. Like, actually, we didn't really plan out
Yeah,
how
but
we
it's
were going to talk
organic.
about
How
some of
you
the serious
shouldn't
things. We
like
just kind of
plan this stuff out.
did, and then I'm glad. It's probably worth talking about video
It
quality.
really
a
is.
bit. Like
You've been just
currently
like
we're
a
recording little
pixelated
scuffed.
outline this
We're gonna try to
entire
get that a
time.
little bit better. Yeah,
You're like you're like a locked character right now.
it's gonna it'll be better. We also should by this time this episode's live, we'll be up on Spotify, the Apple Podcast Store, we'll
Hopefully.
be on Castbox, places like that as well. So as well as YouTube, and we'll just keep doing this every week. We've got a lot of cool stuff that we can talk about. Again, I mentioned it last week. The
One day.
Bigfoot story.
Also, the picture on your
Still
wall
waiting.
is just like
One
an
of these
8-bit
days.
Not to mention the
sunset
fucking
picture.
all the like the
One day.
meme shit that happened on like the last 3 years of PAX. Like we got stories.
What, like the PAX podcast?
Oh God. And there's that one story. The one story. the you made a
I know
meme
what you're
of it,
talking
Dark,
about.
that Gojo's never heard. That's
Yeah, no.
okay. Thank you for watching episode 1 of the Youth Podcast. If you enjoyed, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all those shenanigans. Like, if you want to see more's coming. So click the button that gives you more. We'll respond to all the comments and questions if
Let's
something
face
you
it, if
guys
they made
have.
it this far, I'd hope they want to see more.
Anything else we
That's
should close
what
it
they're
out
doing in their
with?
lives.
Yep.
Follow us on Twitter. Follow each of our streams as well. Dark's
Yeah.
almost at affiliate.
I guess that's
5 more.
true.
Almost.
5 more to go.
So we all
Nice.
we're getting close to them.
That is all.
See.
Peace.
Bye.
All right. Thank you for watching.